is March 27th, 2022, and we are at the Kennedy Space Center with some of our favorite people. We got Andrea Cat in the house. Woo, woo, woo. And we got Cheyenne Cat in the house. Woo, woo, woo. And last but not least, we got Lemon Cat, Lemonator.
Lemon. We got the lemon.
Oh, wow.
4 years.
There we go. I'll give it back to the main cameraman.
Okay.
We're making our way up to the complex now.
It's ready.
He wants your french fry.
He's following Cheyenne. I'm like,
I don't know.
Is it following you?
oh, I didn't bring my water. Oh well.
Karma?
Revo, have you ever heard of that?
Zero?
Vero?
I don't know.
What car?
I see a fountain. That's a good sign.
We could have brought the orange car so that we wouldn't have to sit through traffic.
Sorry. Didn't hear you.
Yes! Hello.
I think we'll be inside someday. We're going up to where it says will fall.
Do we have those red glasses in the car?
I don't know. They're yours. Or you've been wearing them.
Just to go garden casually with rockets.
You can do that around your wrist if you want, Cheyenne. It makes it a little easier. There you go.
Maybe put it on here.
I thought it was part of the ticket price.
That's what I thought so too.
Not training.
Do you see what the price is? $175.
Yeah? You guys want to do? Someone drop a piece of plastic on the move.
Yep.
I would like to take the bus, if you guys are okay, over to the Saturn like area, and then we can come back over and check out the rest of the stuff. You guys okay with that? Okay, are you okay with that, Adria? Okay. And then we'll make sure we hit that space shuttle at Planet so you can do that simulator. Yeah, cool. 11 spacecraft in a new era of human exploration. First person on the moon. Goal you have, you can make it happen. I believe that. Yeah.
Director for the inaugural flight of SLS with Artemis 1. Can you tell us a little bit more about the mission of the Artemis program?
Well, if you think about all that we did during the Apollo program, how amazing that was. It seems so appropriate that as we return to the lunar surface, we return to the moon, that we go under the banner of Artemis, the twin sister of Apollo.
Hey folks, I'll pause the video because I'd like to point out something to you. NASA calls it the largest Land Rover in the world. It is the Crawler Transporter. It's going to be on your right hand side, just past this white building with the green bars on it. Between the two, right there on your right hand side, it's the gray structure with the American flag on it. That is the Crawler Transporter. It has transported every Saturn rocket and space shuttle from the vehicle assembly building out to the launch pads. Now it weighs 6 million pounds. It has 8 tracks on it. Each track has 57 cleats, and each one of those cleats weighs 1 ton. So you get 32 feet per gallon, and the top speed, just 1 mile per hour. Pretty fast.
And while there are similarities in our program, there are also differences. This time our trip to the moon will be on a brand new rocket known as the Space Launch System, or SLS, carrying the crews in the Orion spacecraft.
What is the goal or purpose of sending humans to the moon again?
Well, the moon is a treasure trove of science and discovery, and so there's so much to learn from the moon. We're still learning from what the samples we gathered during the Apollo program. The beauty of what we're doing today is that instead of going for a short trip, we're going to stay. And what we learn, we can apply to deep space destinations and other space travel.
So I know that the SLS is coming together right next door at the Vehicle Assembly Building. What were
The theater during the presentation, please use the exit door located behind you at the rear of the theater. Thank you.
You know, in the end, when we actually did send men into space, it turned out that those were exactly the qualities it took.
I'm John Hudson. This is Pad 39 at the Kennedy Space Center. I was a launch controller here when from this very spot, man took off to fly to the moon. It was a journey that began 12 years before that rocket ever left the ground. And it started on the other side of the world. Back then, we were one of two superpowers that always seemed to be on the edge of a terrible war. In 1957, the Soviet Union launched the first ever man-made satellite into Earth orbit. They called it Sputnik, which means traveling companion. And in a world where peace hung in a delicate balance, it seemed to create a dangerous advantage. Every ham radio operator in America could hear it beep. People were afraid. Were the Soviets looking down on us? Watching us? If they could make a satellite pass over our cities, could they do the same with a bomb? Our own space program kicked into high gear, and less than 2 months later, we were ready to launch our own satellite. Space race, and we were running a distant second. In 1961, we fell even further behind. Soviet cosmonaut Yuri Gagarin became the first man into space, circling the world in just 89 minutes. We had our own astronauts, and they were eager and ready to take the big ride. But our manned space program couldn't seem to get off the ground. We stuck with it, and on May 5th, 1961, things finally started going right. Astronaut Alan Shepard took his ship Freedom 7 6.5 miles into space. America had its first space hero. Just a few days later, our space program received a new challenge. But this one did not come from the Soviet Union. It came from our young president. In one inspiring moment, he changed the mission. From one based in fear of the present to one of hope for the future.
But why, some say, the moon? Why choose this as our goal? And they may well ask, why climb the highest mountain? Why 35 years ago, fly the Atlantic? Why does Rice play Texas? We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard.
We hadn't been more than 16 minutes into space, and now we were going to the moon. We would have to design a rocket the size of a 36-story office building, put it together with the precision of a microscope, and accelerate it to the speed of a bullet. Then we would have to guide it to a moving target 250,000 miles away. Many people thought it was an impossible dream, but 400,000 of us set about making that dream a reality. It would be the longest, most hazardous voyage that any man had dared to attempt. But step by step, mission by mission, we orbited the Earth, perfecting the skills and technologies we would need on this incredible journey. Our astronauts practiced maneuvering, docking, and the 1,000 other tasks that would comprise the moon mission. We created new alloys, lighter and stronger than anything seen before. We designed communication systems that would be reliable over the vast distances. And behind it all, we tried to perfect the rocket that would be powerful enough to punch out of Earth orbit and take us to the moon. One day, however, the dream of flying to the moon almost slipped away. It was January 27th, 1967. Astronauts Virgil Gus Grissom, Edward White, and Roger Chaffee were on board Apollo 1 for a plugs-out test, a full-scale dress rehearsal for the actual launch. Suddenly it happened. There was a fire in the capsule. 3 men whose lives had been in our hands were lost.
Surely the opening vistas of space promise high costs and hardships, as well as high reward. But this country of the United States was not built by those who waited and rested and wished to look behind them.
After Apollo 1, some thought we'd failed, and that the moon was out of our reach.
But we owed it to those men to learn from their sacrifice and to carry on.
We started taking the Apollo vehicle apart, piece by piece. Was the design flawed? Had safety been compromised? Tough questions. And we spent 1.5 years redesigning the spacecraft so that no astronaut's life would ever be at risk because we overlooked something or because we could have done something better. A moon rocket is 91% high explosive, and it goes into the most unforgiving, hazardous environment there is. We could never make it risk-free, and the men who flew them knew that. We didn't send men into space again until Apollo 7 orbited the Earth, testing some of the new designs. When everything worked perfectly, the decision was made. The next mission would travel to the moon. It was mankind's destiny to leave the shores of our planet behind and strike out across the vast ocean of space. In the great span of our history, now was the time that we could. Now was the time that we would. We stood on the eve of the longest, most dangerous journey that any man had ever undertaken. And it would be taken by Frank Borman, James Lovell, and William Anders, the crew of Apollo 8. Through those doors, you'll find the firing room, launch control, just as it was on December 21st, 1968.
Please gather all of your belongings, take small children by the hand, and proceed through the open doors to firing room number 1. All strollers, wheelchair guests, and hearing impaired guests, please use the door to your far left. Please stop your step and use the handstand on the
Thank you. That's heavy.
Guests with special physical needs, including wheelchairs and hearing disabilities, please be seated in the front row.
Wow.
They still plan to go ahead with it. To send 3 men to the moon and back. I'll repeat that. To send 3 men to the moon and back.
You dropped your drink.
Oh, thanks for having me back.
For the comfort, safety, and viewing pleasure of all our guests, we ask that you refrain from flash photography for the duration of our presentation. If you must leave during the presentation, please exit through the doors on your right. Thank you.
This is the firing room, launch control for the Apollo missions. This is not a mock-up. These are the very consoles we sat at when men first took off to fly to the moon. The tragedy of Apollo 1 had put us 1.5 years behind. We were making up for it in one big leap, and we were doing it with a rocket that no man had ever flown before.
It was a few days before Christmas, 1968, when Apollo 8 sat on the pad. She was the first of a new kind, a moon rocket. This was the Phoenix, risen from the ashes of Apollo 1. The first Apollo crew did not die in vain. This was to be their testament. "36 stories high, she had been fully fueled throughout the night. The liquid oxygen in her tanks caused ice to form on the outside of the craft. The extreme temperature differences between the air and the sub-zero fuel caused the metal skin of the rocket to expand and contract. Everyone who was on the pad agreed. It was as though the rocket was alive, breathing, straining at the leash. Earlier in the morning, astronauts Frank Borman, Jim Lovell, and Bill Anders had made their final preparations before taking that long ride out to the waiting spacecraft. The minimum safe distance from a Saturn V at liftoff was 3 miles. The reason was simple. When fully fueled, the rocket contained the explosive power of an atomic bomb. As the clock counted down, the astronauts and all of us in launch control went through the pre-flight checks, our hands on the controls of the most powerful, most complex machine ever built. It had over 2 million separate systems, and to bring these men back alive, everything had to work perfectly. Each individual system had been tested, but what we didn't know was how they would perform when all 2 million began to work together. That moment would come when the countdown clock reached 0. If a maneuvering thruster failed, if communications broke down, if navigation was off by 1 degree, if any piece of the miles of wiring, circuits, relays, or valves was defective, Frank Borman, Jim Lovell, and Bill Anders would pay with their lives. As they sat waiting for launch on that chill December morning, these 3 astronauts were back to what they had always been: test pilots. You are now in the final minutes before the launch of Apollo 8, right here where it actually happened. Mankind is about to leave his planet behind and journey to another. It is one of those rare moments when history is not being made, destiny is being embraced.
This is launch control, T-minus 3 minutes and counting. We've completed our communications checks with the Apollo 8 astronauts in the cabin, and the communications are go. During this period, once we do get the firing command, the various tanks within the 3 stages of the Saturn V launch vehicle begin to pressurize. We have firing command. The firing command is in. We are now on the automatic sequence. T-minus 2 minutes, 20 seconds, and counting. Our status board indicates that all aspects are ready. Instrument unit is ready, spacecraft ready. Final check of the emergency detection system, that ready light also on. First stage preparations are completed.
All systems remain okay.
Okay, keep going. And we're on. Ready to go to cockpit. Stand by, water. Okay, you're on.
All systems go.
T-minus 45 seconds and counting. The first stage liquid oxygen tank has been pressurized, and the pressure is still building up. Coming up in 90 seconds, mark, T-minus 90 seconds and coming. The Apollo 8 crew standing by, spacecraft commander Frank Borman, Jim Lovell, Bill Anders. We now have a report that the liquid hydrogen tank on the 3rd stage is pressurized, 1 minute 15 seconds. All 3rd stage propellants pressurized at this time as we come up on the 60-second mark on the flight to the moon. T-minus 60 seconds and counting. The vehicle now is completely pressurized. We're coming up on a power transfer shortly. power transfer. We're now on the flight batteries within the launch vehicle. Final reports coming from Frank Borman at this time. Final look at the switch list aboard the spacecraft. 20 seconds, all aspects. We are still low at this time. 50 minus 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9. Ignition sequence start. The engines are on. 4, 3.
Apollo 8 successfully orbited the moon, and the astronauts returned safely to the Earth. I know. I'm Jim Lovell, and I was one of the crew of this spacecraft, Apollo 8. We were the first men to see the surface of the moon from just a few miles away. But it was the hundreds of thousands of men and women who worked in that team, and the millions of people who supported the mission that really made it possible. That way, I guess, we all went to the moon. Now, on the other side of those doors, you'll find an actual Saturn V moon rocket. It's still the most powerful, the most complex machine ever built. And I guess it's the only one that can take you to another planet. I actually got to fly one on a second flight to the moon called Apollo 13. But that's another story.
I recorded the entire lift off.
That's pretty awesome.
Continue your journey to the Lunar Theater, located near the nose end of the Saturn V
It
rocket.
really sounded like.
Enjoy your visit to the Apollo Saturn V Center.
Just kidding.
We can walk around and check out anything you want to check out. I have to say that was one of the most awesome things I've ever experienced so far. Super cool. Wires and
Yeah, look at the bracket. Come here, I'll show you.
yeah, it's not going anywhere. So is it? Have you worked on any
Yeah,
parts similar?
see these tubes, all these different tubes. They have little brackets that hold them
Yeah, you're
onto
working,
the structure. So
you're working on a bracket right now.
yeah.
You know about all these parts. You can tell us about the cool bracket parts.
You can.
Now the brackets hold the tubes and then they vibrate, and you don't want the bolts to break that hold the bracket on.
Just like those windows.
Yeah. Those engineers were pretty important to this project.
Congratulations, engineers.
Oh.
And up there safely. Have you ever seen those parts up close like that? Like the actual parts attached to the... Is that the thrusters? Is that what those are?
It's a rocket engine, so they have turbo pumps that feed the liquid oxygen and hydrogen in the combustor. And there's like a turbine as well.
How many of us has? 6 of them?
5.
It's pretty amazing.
I mean, all the action's right here from what you see down. All the rest of it's just fuel tanks, oxygen tank. Yeah, what's that?
It's great. Do you guys want to get mine and go up and see what's inside there?
Yeah, that'd be cool.
I'd like to go in there and check it out. Test pilots are very brave. I want it to all be like done, tested, and find out if it's going to work. Not very much space in there for a catastrophic person like me.
Claustrophobic?
Claustrophilic.
Three
That means you like tight
people in there too.
Okay.
Fall down these stairs.
There's no seats or anything in there, right?
Aren't you floating around?
Let me not turn my lights off.
Hi, I'm Jim Lovell, retired old astronaut that made 4 space flights back in the 60s and 70s. If you want to ask me a question, I'd be glad to answer anything that I can. Why don't you just push that button right in front of you?
I think you hit the top one.
How about you today?
Does it not work? Oh. Don't hurt it.
Sorry.
Can you hear us? How was it being in space? Was it scary?
Hello? No, you tried to do a rocket and went away.
Let's try this.
I don't think this one works.
I don't think it will work. I think the AI is having some problems. Have a perfect day today. That's life in March in Florida.
Take it over there.
Here we have a 1969 living room, complete with the avocado green couch, an orange shag carpet, and an old school console color television. Wow. Very high end for 1969.
I hear a very high pitched sound.
He is mechanically stuck where he is. Usually he comes up from the bottom up from under the stage when Neil Armstrong goes out to the moon. But he's now semi-permanently stuck where he is until I can fix his flight. So that's the reason he's up there. Active. Good afternoon. Welcome to the Lunar Theater. Hope you enjoy the movie.
Columbia, Houston, over. Columbia, Houston, over. Columbia, Houston, we're standing by, over.
Houston, over. Houston, Columbia, read you loud and clear. How many? Roger, 5-5, Mike. How did it go, over? Babe, everything's going just swimmingly. Beautiful. Great. We're standing by for Eagle. Okay, Houston, come along. We copy out.
Yeah, flight controllers, we're off to a good start. Light cool.
AOS Lim.
Roger, AOS Lim.
Houston, Eagle, how do you read? 5-5, Eagle, we're standing by for your burn report, over. Roger, the burn was on time.
As soon as the Eagle reappears, things begin to go wrong.
We've lost data for celebration. We've lost all data with Eagle.
Radio communications break down.
Eagle, Houston, did you call?
Messages to Eagle must be relayed through Mike Collins aboard the command module Columbia. Throughout the crucial final checks, contact with the Eagle keeps dropping out.
Don't lose that data.
And Flight Director Gene Kranz inches closer to aborting the mission.
Columbia, Houston, we lost Eagle again. Andy's trying to hide me, over.
Okay, we got data back.
Radar flight looks good.
With the vital computer links temporarily holding, the moment of decision is now.
Okay, all flight controllers, Dona, go for landing. Retro, go. Idaho, go. Night, go. Patrol, go. Telcom, go. ENC, go. Ecom, go. Surgeon, go. Capcom, we're go for landing.
Eagle, Houston, you're a go for landing, over. I understand, go for landing.
Hurtling toward the moon at 3,800 miles per hour, Neil Armstrong notices his checkpoints are all appearing too soon. This means a serious navigation error.
You think you're a little help mom downrange?
At these speeds, 3 seconds long means missing the safe landing zone by 3 miles.
Data dropout, still looking good.
Suddenly, the computer starts firing the maneuvering thrusters, jolting the ship back and forth. This has happened in simulations, but never this much, never this violent. The smooth descent is becoming a bumpy ride. Before that is fixed, a problem with the onboard computer.
1202 alarm.
The astronauts have rehearsed for thousands of possible malfunctions, but not this one. It had been considered too unlikely. Seconds seem like hours as everyone struggles to remember the meaning of a 1202 program alarm. The deadline to safely abort is vanishing fast.
Give us a reading on the 1202 program alarm.
1202 means the Eagle's onboard computer is overloading. This means Houston is blind, unable to make navigation corrections or interpret the data coming from Eagle's computer. Armstrong and Aldrin are on their own. Mission Control decides they can go ahead.
We're going that flight. We're going that alarm.
If the data link doesn't fail again.
We're going that alarm.
1,000 feet, and Neil Armstrong can see that the computer is proposing to put them down in a dangerous place. That landing site is full of boulders. If they land there, they will never take off again. At 350 feet, Armstrong ignores his computer navigation and veers away from the rocky landing site with no time to explain to Mission Control.
Okay, all flight controllers, and cut.
In Mission Control, everybody is stunned. At 300 feet, the Eagle has left its flight plan and taken off at full speed across the face of the moon.
Eagle, Houston, is descent to fuel to monitor, over.
90 seconds of fuel remaining. Now less than 200 feet, and the Eagle is too low to safely abort back into orbit. They call this part of the flight plan Dead Man's Curve. All that's left for Mission Control is to read off the fuel remaining in seconds.
60 seconds. 60 seconds.
The entire moon landing has come down to 2 men and 1 minute.
Forward. Bring speed down, 2.5.
30 seconds.
30 seconds.
Lights on. Down 2.5. Forward.
right, the guy's about to turn blue. We're breathing again. Thanks a lot.
A short time later, history is made again.
Okay, Neil, we can see you coming down the ladder now.
For one incredible moment, we are one people with one history, watching our destiny unfold.
That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Armstrong is on the moon. Neil Armstrong, 38-year-old American.
It was a moment shared by an entire world.
Here, men from the planet Earth first set foot upon the moon. It came indeed for all mankind.
With these first steps, mankind stood on the highest ground, and we saw our planet as our home port in the endless ocean of space.
There was something which was surprising to me. It occurred as I was standing on the surface. Just after we had landed, I'd gone down, standing on the surface and looking at planet Earth for the first time, seeing the beauty, seeing the finiteness of it, the limits of it, realizing what a shame it was that people were confronting each other on that planet without realizing what it was doing to the planet. It was a very emotional moment for me. I actually shed a couple of tears. Something totally unexpected for an engineer, fighter pilot to be crying quietly up there on the moon.
Mankind had achieved a tenuous foothold in the heavens, and a new and exciting world lay waiting to be explored. The first mission had stayed for only one day, but over the next 3.5 years, 5 more Apollo missions visited the moon, and with each one, we stayed longer, roamed further, and discovered more.
I never thought when I was a kid building rockets, in high school, that we would go to the moon, before the end of the century. I mean, I thought that was something that was way in the future, fantasy.
I was rolling on the moon one day. In the very month of December. Hey, look at the size of that rock. That is the best example we got. Just don't stub your toe.
We have got to understand that as a people, we need to stretch. We need to reach beyond our grasp. We need to strive to do things that seem impossible, because in the accomplishment of them, we move society forward.
One of the astronauts has said those hills that we climbed give our children and grandchildren a different perspective, that they see the mountains that we couldn't see. And so what we consider impossible, they're dreaming about.
3, 2, 1.
When I have a chance to talk to kids, I tell them, the first thing I tell them is to take the word impossible out of their vocabulary. Go to their teacher tomorrow morning and scratch it out of the dictionary. The word doesn't exist. If I can stand here and tell you that I lived on the moon, that I called the moon my home for 3 days, you tell me what is impossible in this day and age, much less in a generation that follows, much less into the 21st century. Nothing is impossible.
I like exploring things, inventing. I would like to go up there and find out what's really up there.
I would like to be an astronaut. I like to design rockets.
Payload specialist.
I'd be a ground control officer. The thing that my mom can't understand is I'm terrified of heights, but I want to be an astronaut.
There's so many things I'd love to do. I would explore, I'd look for everything. I would try to start a farm. Millions of other galaxies that you might be able to live in.
It's the unknown. Anything's possible.
You may be able to cure certain diseases.
I'll climb Mars and dance on it. Play basketball, but you can still be short, because then you could fly up in the air.
Baseball would be awesome.
pass. Hit the ball, you get a home run every time.
There are a lot of things that can benefit mankind that we, because of science, we simply cannot do on Earth.
It's such a big universe, and it's kind of strange to think that just this one tiny planet was chosen to have life on it.
I hear they're finding new planets or moons and finding out more about how stars are working, and it makes me feel like it's trying to tell me something,
What's it trying to tell you?
that you belong up there with them.
The Apollo program ended in December of 1972, but our journey into space is just beginning. I'm Neil Armstrong. The future of space travel is being written right now in the dreams and imaginations of a new generation. Perhaps that's the greatest legacy of Apollo. It shows our children and grandchildren that with courage, imagination, and the will to explore, no dream is impossible.
Yeah, sure. Okay, ready? Thank you. Say parachute down into space.
Building 36?
I didn't even know there was a building 36. Must be important. Everyone's here. We have propulsion, aerothermal.
Spacecraft. It's going to launch like a rocket and land like an airplane, and it's going to be reusable.
Can't do that with a rocket.
It's not a rocket, it's a shuttle.
Now it's time to go to the next step. Sketch pad to launch pad. Going to the moon was a camping trip. Now our job is to work and live in space. This vehicle has to do something that we have never done before. Perform 4 key tasks and be able to do them over and over again. There is nothing easy about putting a ship back up into space, let alone a whole fleet of ships. But first, let's talk about the launch. We have never designed engines and vehicles that can be reused. But we will, and once we're in orbit, we go to work. We want to take all kinds of cargo up there in addition to the people. Science labs, satellites, even the space station. And when all the work is done, we gotta bring everybody back home. All right now, the country's waiting. Let's build ourselves a space shuttle.
It's too big, it's too heavy. We're launching one spaceship on the back of an even bigger one.
What if we split the booster into its pieces? Rockets, fuel tank.
It's supposed to be reusable. How do we get all those parts home?
What if we just throw the fuel tank away?
We're writing all new processes, procedures, manuals. We've never had to reuse a ship before.
We're also going to have to build some really big garages.
Sir, what if she lands somewhere other than Florida? How does she get back here? It's a glider.
Buy her a plane ticket home.
Yeah.
Ablative heat shields are heavy, and they burn up on re-entry. We need a more reusable solution.
silica foam tires. Thousands of them, fitted together in one lightweight, reusable heat shield.
Another holdup with the engines? Tell me some good news with the towels.
The heat shield bond keeps failing. The tiles keep falling off.
So another delay. How long? How long?
1.5 to 2 years.
Well, this is going to be fun to tell my boss. Everybody get back to work.
How do you feel?
I'll let you know. When they come home.
The President's message said, you go forward this morning on a daring enterprise, and you carry the hopes and prayers of all Americans with you. And astronaut John Young, the commander of the mission, replied, that's a right fine speech. We sure appreciate it.
This launch of Columbia marks NASA's first manned test flight ever flown into space with people on board.
Endeavour Houston, we see a nominal MECO, Ohms 1 not required. Welcome to space.
Like if you could get a picture of the whole like whole thing. That's in our lifetime, I remember. They told their boss 1 to 2 years, and it took 12 years. No, I had 1
Spacewalk requires thinking, precision, and patience to get the job done. Do you handle working in space?
The manipulator on. The manipulator on. It's like there's 2 of them.
Well, only $1 million. Hope you're insured.
This is the last Saturday. It's like a toaster.
Secret government Eggo project. Come on, I really wanted to do this.
You have to wait in line.
You wait, get in line so you can take now that you're next. There you go.
Wow. How does that work?
Spacewalks require thinking, precision, and patience to get the job done. Do you handle working in space?
Yes.
Use your arms to select the mission, then wait for the blue circle. Use your arms to move sideways along the ISS handholds. Then use the drill to tighten the 3 bolts. Start at the top and work down. Use your left arm to drag yourself to the left. Drill from the top down.
Can we just stay together with Daddy, please? Not working. I know I'm running out of time.
Stand on the dot, Cheyenne. There you go.
Oh, there you go.
You gotta move slow.
Great job. Maybe working for NASA could be in your future.
Yeah. Good job. Yay, did it.
Come on, Matthew, do it here. Matthew, do it here.
They had a number of Spacelab missions, and some of the Spacelab had special functions. Well, our first flight on Spacelab 1 tried to do a little bit of everything to demonstrate that, yes, Spacelab was going to be a good laboratory to do work in all of these different science disciplines. So we did a number of experiments with observations.
Well, that's called the control column. The thing the thing you're holding.
Should we be seeing this?
The person's going to hear so it's happening here.
I noticed the other car right here where we're like, we're going the wrong way. We're going.
Is this a toilet?
Looks like it.
It is a toilet.
There's some stuff behind it I want to see up on the wall as you go along that back wall.
Where?
Oh, I guess we gotta go around, back around.
Okay. Yes, your almighty toilet hog.
Alright, we're gonna launch and lower. Ah, the space shuttle! Calvin, what did you do? superpowers.
Gravity acts on it to pull it back towards the ball. This is the path of falls. Since the ball has left the atmosphere, there's nothing to slow it down, and it begins. Now it's your turn. How fast do you think the space shuttle needs to go to achieve a certain orbit? Use these
The two will talk to each other.
3, 2,
Oh, they just float?
Yeah, and they said they can cause damage.
and we have
Because
liftoff.
they can collide with spacecraft. They all need to be tied up.
Way too fast. The shuttle has escaped first gravity.
All your astronauts are dead.
Oh no! Astronauts!
They gave it a try. Rats, birds, fish, insects, snails, frogs, lizards, worms, plants, cancer cells. Yeast and bacteria develop
That looks good.
in space.
Start. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And we have liftoff. Way too fast. The shuttle has escaped first gravity completely.
Your astronauts are all dead. Let Mr. Brown try.
No, you already know this.
Can
Why
you
are
just tell us the
asking
answer?
him? Who are you?
I'm Kelvin Bacon. I've been working for NASA for 30 years. I served as a NASA test director, unit manager on the space shuttle, chief engineer for Shepard Rockets, co-director of the space shuttle Atlantis.
Basically,
Space associate and
That's one heck of a resume, man.
Yeah.
Hello.
Wait, we have that right now.
Look, look.
And we have liftoff.
It's only for people in space.
I don't know. It's just something.
It's not a look. It's an orbit that takes the shuttle to
We're too far away from Earth.
Okay, well, let someone else try. There's someone waiting.
Look, look, trash.
One last time.
Yay!
Good job. Well, that's the kind of rides we need for your motorcycles. They better than designer shades.
Our toolbox contains some very basic tools, hammers, ratchet wrenches, up to some more impressive pistol grip tools, which is a large, powerful to ride passengers.
Once they've arrived after a horse ride, you now have to get all the way
There's an actual shuttle experience ride.
all floating. You have to have all tethered. Now you're balanced fully tethered, dangling in front of
Man on a steak.
6,000.
Oh, they're getting look in the back.
Picture. Oh, picture. Don't take a picture of me. I want you to take a picture of me in front of this.
Roll maneuver is complete. Atlanta is now positional course. The three main engines on Atlanta have now been throttled down to 72% of rated thrust as the orbiter prepares to pass through the area of maximum dynamic pressure on the vehicle in the lower atmosphere. Americans return to space.
Sorry. Excuse me.
Benches. They're fine. After we get done here, we're gonna go, so let's just finish what we're doing here. Now we get to go see the International Space Station. The simulator. You should be down there. Ah, the simulator's down there. There, now we know where it is.
I think there's a slide you can go down.
Yeah, we'll make our way over there.
See, look, slide.
Okay, thanks.
Maybe you just toss it down. I crawl through it. These tubes. Life it.
Aaron, keep coming.
You want to take the GoPro?
Yes.
It's on.
Whoops.
It's rolling.
I wonder if I fit through. I am a child. I'm 17.
Go ahead, Julie. Dale, Juan, do it. Jorge, dale hasta el final, vete por ahí, tiene que salir por otro lado.
Let's go. Bunch of stuff. We can see through a window here. Oh, stubbed my toe.
Oh my god! That's natural. Oh, yeah, there's no good. Oh gosh. Sorry. Let's go.
No hay nada mañana, si no viene por ahí.
Oh, yeah, someone's angry at us. Oh, look at that.
Ooh.
There's a line to go into the creepy. That's
Pretty thick glass. Nightmare fuel.
Nightmare fuel.
Oh, look at that underside of the
Whoa,
plant.
one person at a time.
Move.
Wrapping it. Stop! Go! No, we have to wait. That's too much weight. One person at a time, or else we all die. I don't want that to happen. Ew, it's quiet. Ew, you have your mask.
What's the tube?
That's not very good taste. Oh my god, sorry.
Hey, move, come here.
And where did they go?
Sorry.
Did they go in? No. Alright, I went through it.
Okay,
There was a tube that was completely clear and you could see all around and down.
Oh. This is how we get down to the next one. Yeah, great time. Here they come.
Make your touchdown. Parachute deployed. Make your touchdown.
There you go, little friend.
Didn't quite make it.
We survived.
That's a big tire.
100 gift shop.
Launch experience. That's pretty cool.
I'm not strong enough to get it. 250 gallons.
Bird.
Gotta record the bird. Get the bird. Oh, point on it. Make it feel like.
Andrea wants to check out the main gift store. It's open till 5:30.
There's another store?
Yeah, that's the main gift shop.
Wow. But the announcement said to leave.
They said that this one was open till 5:30. I heard him say in the main when I was in the main.
Hmm.